Hello everyone, my name is Iuliia and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have a special guest, Mr. Yan De Maroussem.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here, Iuliia.
Welcome
Thanks.
to my channel.
Thank you.
And I want to say a huge thank you to Up Le Morne for providing us with this beautiful and special occasion.
Yes.
Because it's as well special to your heart.
Yes.
Because of Le Morne Mountain.
Very close by from where we are now. If we could see through, the mountain is just like a couple of 100 meters from us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me just do a little brief for the one who doesn't know who you are. Of course, all the people in Tamarin and Black River of Mauritius, they know who you are because you're constantly running on the roads,
yes.
going up and down the mountain.
Yes, I like running, it's true.
You
yes.
like that. So Yan is the first mountain guide who has ever taken visitors up the mythical Morne Brabant,
Brabant, yes.
Brabant Mountain. More than 3,000 hikes up and down, or now more.
Yeah, a bit more.
A bit, now a bit more. Actually, we can say that you are the one who found the hiking culture in Mauritius. As I understood, when you discovered hiking, it was not something common in general in the world.
In the world, yes, not in Mauritius though. Yes, in the world, hiking is, people have been like walking in the mountains for centuries, and probably in France and Europe and other parts of the world, the States, from the beginning of the 20th century, people were already, during vacations, weekends, going hiking, and it was like a lifestyle for some people, say, from the mountainous region of France, La Savoie, or yes, it's just Mauritius that people, came because the tourism industry started in the early 70s, picked up in the 80s, 90s, and it was a beach destination. People who wanted to hike, they were going to Reunion Island, And so we can say it's about 20, 25 years, that the first people started to venture, in the green Mauritius. And probably the national park opened in 1994, and then yes, I started Le Morne.
We'll get to that.
I started on Le Morne in 2004, so next year it will be already 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and other parts of Mauritius as well.
So I guess before it was more of sea destination.
Yeah.
No one really thought about the mountains.
Yes,
that you
it
can
was.
Explore.
Yeah, people were coming to do water skiing and scuba diving. Maybe they would play golf, but straight afterwards they'll go and snorkeling and spend the time on the beach, on the sea. People didn't come for green Mauritius. Nobody knew that we had some mountains here from overseas,
Yeah.
So even myself, when I started in 2003, at the end, when I came back to Mauritius after having been in France for 4 years. 2 of the 4 years were in the mountains. This is when really I got into that mountain vibes. I knew that I couldn't start with the mountains because I couldn't make a living from that, So I started with the sea activities as well first, taking the guests to see the dolphins, teaching them to water ski, crossing the beautiful lagoon between Black River and Le Morne called Les Fonds Blancs, stopping on Coconut Island, having a bright picnic and everything. But at the back of my mind, I knew that, my aim was clear in my mind, and I had a clear vision where I wanted to go. I wanted to promote and develop the green activities. And very quickly, I started the hikes, in the Black River Gorge, together with the water sports, the boat trips, on Tourelle de Tamarin, like I approached Mr. Yan Magar, he gave me access. Yes, sure, there's a guard and people working there. They will help you to reopen the path, because nobody was going on La Tourelle 20 years ago.
Oh,
and then,
such a hard
and then I really, at the back of my mind, say, wow, Le Morne, because I knew Le Morne so well because I spent part of my life here. As a kid, my dad used to work in Le Morne Brabant, which was the first hotel here, running the water sports. So when I was like 6, 7, up to 10 years old, Le Morne was always there in my mind. And one day I had an opportunity.
But did you hike that before?
No, just managed to look, enter a little bit, not more because it was very close, you know, like you couldn't enter the private property like that, you know, it was very strict in those days. And eventually I approached, you know, a friend which happened to be like a family with a Cambier. And I said, you know, is there any possibility? That was like April, May 2004. Any possibility to hike on Le Morne, to have access there? And somehow, with a magic, with a providence, it happened, you know. And I had the exclusivity on Le Morne. I was paying, you know, like per guest so much to the family, a little like access fee. And for 10 years, from 2004 to 2014, I was the only person, you know, allowed to take people on Le Morne Mountain. And I was doing between 1 and then 2 hikes every day. I was by myself in the company, Yanature, that I founded in the end of 2003. And then, of course, I decided to stop the boat because there was no more meaning for me because my hiking activities were like, you know, flourishing so well. And the tour operators were like backing me up, you know, and then doing a website and was very beginning of the social media, Facebook and all that. And by the 2014, 10 years after I started, I was completely overwhelmed, you know, like because I had to do everything in the business, you know, whether the marketing, the accounts, and the promoting the hikes, and then there was the trail running as well, promoting the trail running, and establishing the association that promotes trail running in Mauritius, Ronde Trail and Nature, plus doing all the sports events, the challenge and all that. So I was like everywhere at the same time and running everything and driven by passion and devotion. But I couldn't expand more than that because I was just, you know, completely overwhelmed with the work and with the hikes and with the runs and with the events and with the sports challenge and everything. And this is when, you know, Henri Fayol in 2014 approached me. Was very young then, you know, he was doing a course in architecture, was not very happy what he was doing, and said, Yan, I want to come and work with you. I said, but I'm not sure whether I need you or not, you know, but anyhow, come and see whether you like that or that, and if it suits you. And then we became super close friends, you know, like people will say, hey, this is your son? No, this is my colleague, friend, and
he's younger.
He was like 30 years almost younger than me, you know, 25 years younger. And we were running together, hiking together, and eventually I say, Henri, why don't you stay in the company? And I make you become a director, and then this is how it started, you know, and like it was my first partner, and then his friend, Nicolas Kellan, joined in 2015, and then we were a good team. You know, after 10 years by myself, wow. I established a company with those 2 young partners that I became very good friends as well. We ran together, hiked together, and then we took like a lady doing the admin and the secretary work. And then we started, you know, to take guides, you know, because the activities were like developing.
That's a good example of delegating, you know, and actually not being scared, because a lot of people there tend to be so perfectionist or thinking that it's only me who can do everything, and then you just burn yourself.
Yeah, sure, but most of us, you know, we have some fear somewhere, you know. Some it will be very difficult to let go, others will be fear of height or fear of dark or fear of falling sick, or we all have like our little issues or fear to lack something. But we just have, you know, to work on that, and eventually, you know, it was my best choice that I've done, you know, to open Yanature. That was not relying on one person and me anymore, because it's very risky when a business relies on one person, especially when you're outdoors like that, where you need, you know, be in good shape, fit all the time. You can't really be sick. You can't really like go for a vacation overseas. You can't really, you know, like be at 2 or 3 different places at the same time. You just have to be dedicated. And somehow the tour operators won't really fancy working with someone, you know, when they realize that the company just rely on that very person. What happened, you know, if something happened to that guy? And then,
you know, I met you in 2015. We did a hike with some friends. And it was the hike to Le Morne Mountain, my very first hike.
Le Morne?
This Le Morne. No, it's in another country. And you know, it was all exciting. And then when you look up the mountain and you say, oh my God, all this hike. And I think I was very, very lucky that it was you, because the experience we had, the way you explain, you know, like it's an experience to go on a hike with you. And every time I have friends from overseas, I said, we must take Yanature. And if we are lucky and we get Yan, it's like the best. Because you could explain about all the plants, all the little rocks, how do you need to connect to nature. And since then, you know, I hike every week by myself, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to do interview with you, because I take my channel as a Mauritian book, and maybe not only Mauritian, maybe the world book one day, but stories of individual and how do they become who they are and what events affected them to become the way they are at this time. So can you take us a little bit before, and what do we know about your childhood? Yeah. What affected, let's say, you?
Sure, Iuliia. So, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that and telling your experience in 2015 on the mountain. It's true that for me, it's like a real adventure, and I try to share something very personal connection with outdoor, the way I feel, the good approach, which is the one which you are connected in communion with the environment through your senses, whatever you will see, feel, touch, hear, and try to bring this approach where the person is not really conquering the mountain, where you are in the mental, in the fighting of something, you know, against gravity or fighting against your fear, but I'm just trying to help them to be really present to the moment. And somehow the approach is a lot more soft, it's a lot more caring, it's a lot more personal, and somehow the energy is used at the very moment, you know, and it's not wasted, and the person somehow reaches its own summit, its own challenge, and but on a very caring approach. And more, you know, like I try to share that, and even myself when I'm doing my long runs, my ultra trails and all that, although I'm doing a bit less now, but until not long ago, I try to have this approach when I try to be very present to the sound, to the noise, to the nature, and it's inside becomes a continuity of the outside and back, you know, it's like one. Otherwise, about my youth, so I grew up in a family of three. I'm the last one. Parents were both very sports oriented. From the very early age, I grew up with water sports activities.
And just to say that you are Mauritian.
Yeah, and for many generations, probably I think I'm the sixth one. So more than 2 centuries back, family came here originally from France. And so I grew up in this type of environment and with the water sports because my dad used to run the boathouse. So I was familiar with water skiing, windsurfing from very, very early age, like something like around 6, 7, 8 years old, and very feeling confident in the sea, in the water. And at the same time doing some other sports like rugby and all that as well. So when I finished school, I went to South Africa. I did my degree over there, economics, marketing, human resources. It was a fantastic experience because it was the first time for me that I got the time to spend away from Mauritius, and I really enjoyed South Africa in those days. So it was late 80s, early 90s at the university, and meeting lots of friends.
Which year
playing,
was it?
From 89 to 93.
Cool.
Yeah, wow. So it was a great experience, and I loved it. Discovered South Africa, Zimbabwe. I played a bit of rugby there as well, and then really had a great time. And towards the end of my university time, I met a very nice girl, Linda, and together we toured Europe. So we didn't come back straight to Mauritius. So I spent 6 months in Europe. So it was like discovering all those countries.
Was it first time for you?
It was the second. I'd been with my parents once as a child, but 3 weeks, you know, just quick.
Yeah.
And when I was very young, and that was the first time I saw snow in my life and all that. So that was after university. And the way we did it is camping. So we had our tent, and we rented like it was the Eurobus. It was a bus, you know, doing all the tour, but it wasn't in one single bus. So you could just up in, up out, and do your things. And if you didn't want to do the same itinéraire, the same route, you could do your thing and come back. So we did that for 3-4 months. It was amazing. And then I came back to Mauritius, looked for a job, got a job in Port Louis. I said, wow, working in Port Louis, it was okay, in Arel Malak. But at that same time, I guess God, the Lord, Jesus, wanted to manifest himself to me. Because I'd experienced everything in life, everything, but not spirituality. And through my cousin, with whom I'm very close, like a brother, he unfortunately had leukemia. But fortunately, he's saved. He's alive. He's very well. He's father of 3 children now and director of a company and all that. But at that time, he was very, very, very sick.
And he was young.
Yeah, he was in the 25, you know. And I remember, like, got in a church, you know, little candle, and I say, please God, if you exist, do something for him. And I guess little by little, you know, like I felt like there was something in my heart happening, you know, where every time I heard somebody speaking about God or religion or praying or a testimony, I felt like it was talking to me, you know. And eventually I said, well, I'm going to see the priest, you know, and he was a great man in Black River, and he taught me, you know, encouraged me to buy a Bible, and then myself, I went to do some pilgrimage, and there I was really touched.
Where did you go?
I went to Medjugorje, and I went to Madagascar. I went to Medjugorje in Bosnia and Herzegovina, you know, twice, and I went to Madagascar once, and 3 times I was really, really touched. And a few years went by, so we are now about 97, 98, 99. And
as you said that in Madagascar you were doing some...
I was doing some humanitarian there with other Mauritian friends, and we were staying with a priest who were looking after children who had polio issues. Polio, you know, where you can't really, the lower body is almost paralyzed, and you need those strings, you know, metal strings, and there it's like a curse for a woman to give birth to a child like that. So they are almost ashamed of him, and they will put him away. And this priest said, no, I must do something for this youth, you know. And he was giving them the opportunity to learn something so that they could integrate society afterwards. Women maybe how to sew, how to do things like that, you know, practical hands and stuff. Yeah, it was very, very touching and very. For me at that time, I knew that somehow I needed to give myself a time. You know, I was convinced. I was 28 probably in those days, 28, 29. It was in 98, 99. And then I had an opportunity. To go to France. And I went in an abbey, in a monastery, for 2 years in Savoy, the mountainous region. And there I had the opportunity to listen to God, to do some spiritual retreat, to do some theology, and to experiment the community life in a big monastery, big abbey. And I spent 2 years there, plus another 2 years in different areas of France, so 4 years altogether. And during a retreat, I was, I think, very genuine, very ready, very free to listen and to do God's will in my life. And I was ready to become a priest or to become married, a married man.
Okay,
there was
take two.
There was 2 possibilities, but I wanted to choose. I wanted, you know, things to be clear for me. And I wanted, you know, just to be happy with whichever decision. But I was genuine about whichever option and whichever call that I would take. But eventually, it was a marriage. I met a beautiful girl from the east as well, and in that same community, and we decided to get married. We got married in France, in that community, and in 2003, after 4 years in France, we decided to come here. So my wife was pregnant at that time, and it was very clear that I wasn't going to go back to Port Louis in an office job. And after being in 4 years in a community in the mountains, I even got like more connection with the mountains, running there and feeling the freedom and the beauty of nature. And so it was very clear when I came back. This is when I established Yanature. And at first doing the water activities, because this is what I learned, what I knew, what I was familiar with in my youth. But at the back of my mind, I knew that I was going to go towards green activities, green tourism. And this is a little story back, and so for you to understand.
It's so interesting because sometimes, you know, when you see a person discover something new or open a new business and you're like, oh my God, this is such a like idea that was just here, but no one saw it.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah,
I think it's the same with you and hiking and mountains, because I mean it's here.
Yeah.
But you really need to have a soul for it.
Yeah. Yes, I needed that. I needed the passion for the running as well. I love running. I've been running since school, but at first I didn't really know trail running, so it was more like doing marathon and stuff like that. But the fact that I was in the mountains for 2 years, and it grew in me, and the nature, I guess, tamed me, you know, and showed me the beauty of it. And the fact that I was spending a lot of time there in silence, and I was more maybe receptive, you know, more open to understand, to accueillir, to welcome this beauty. And I was ready, you know, to really receive the beauty of nature, whether it was the mountains, the trees, the birds singing, the water runnings, and the beauty of light, you know, going through, whether it's the morning, late afternoon, the seasons, because there, you know, in Savoie, you have autumns, you have the magic of spring, you know. I didn't know that, you know, where the leaves all lose. The trees are just naked in winter, and this silence, you know, when you go out and it's been snowing and you just run and just purity. It's just so pure. And you know, you're coming from Eastern country, you know, winter, and then you have this magic. And together,
I'm not going there in winter.
And doing,
I hate that.
yeah, but you experimented it. And to see the magic of spring, you know, where it's like a resurrection. And green, you know, you are wearing green. It's beautiful. It's espérance, you know, la couleur verte. It opens, you know, and you feel good. Look, now we are in November in Mauritius. We had rain like January, February. Mauritius is green like ever, but it feels so good. Like before we doing this interview, I told you I was busy kayaking with dolphins. And it was great.
What a life.
Lots of dolphins.
He's just kayaking with dolphins.
And then with a guest, showing them, not by myself, with a guest and making them experiment this amazing approach. And then I take them to a river. And now with a coquelicotier, this type of trees, you know, and really with the rain, the leaves are so bright and the branches just grow, and you kayak like this through this. It's like a canopy, it's like a jungle. And you just evaluate through it. And the guest was amazingly touched, you know, after being in the universe with the sea and the dolphins, which is the blue and the dolphins. You could hear them, the sound they're making. They're so close, 2 meters to a kayak. And then going through the river mouth and venturing through the river until you reach this area where you just are next to the trees, the leaf, the beauty, the green, which is so peaceful.
And silence, I guess.
Yeah.
So early. That's what I really interesting about your journey, that it doesn't seem like you not giving up, but stopping in developing and progressing. So you had your hiking journey.
Yeah.
You started to...
No, the boat first. The boat for a little time. and then the hiking and the trail running, because Yanature has been organizing a lot of trail runs as well.
So let's start with the trail. How did you had this idea?
Well, I was loving running. When I was already at school, I started running, and then at university I was running. At the Abbaye Monastery, I was running, but there it was different because it was just mountain and the nature, so I loved it. So when I came back 2003, I carried on running and hiking and the boating and all that. And one day I said, well, I'm going to organize an event. Why am I going to run by myself? And at first, I did it with fundraising. The first event I organized, the first trail running event I organized in the Black River Gorge was in December, 10th of December 2004. Nobody knew about trail running then. It was completely new. People came with normal running shoes for road and no camel bag, you know. And it was a course where we had to run down Parakit, which is a major down run, and up the other side to finish at Petron, you know. So it was about roughly 10, 12 kilometers. With promotion and all that, we had 80 people. And the fundraising was what? To collect funds to be used to promote and to establish a canteen in the primary public school of Black River. Why we didn't need a canteen there? For the kids from the cité, from the village, to come at school, because they don't want to go to school, and the parents are not looking after them, so the kids go to the sea and they fish and all that, and they don't receive an education. So we say, if we give them breakfast, so a yogurt, a bread, tea, juice, they will come there and they will stay. And this was the idea. And this contributed. That was in 2004 at the end. And then, after having done that, a company stepped in and financed it. And now the kids, they are their free breakfast. And they come to school and they receive an education.
So we were speaking about the starting of the trails.
Yes, trail running.
Yes.
Yes, so I think we're talking about the first trail running in the gorge on the 10th of December. Managed to have 80 people. Some were hikers, some trail runners.
And most of them Mauritian.
Yeah. And a few expats, you know, saw the advert and were very keen about the project, you know. People love it, you know, when they know that they can contribute for the good reason, for une bonne cause, for something, you know, which is, it's got like a meaning. They are happy to do that.
You know, actually, I remember during our conversation before, you mentioned that the way you were marketing the hiking, it was actually making a card and going to hotels. Can you tell about this?
Yes. The way I started was actually...
There was no social media.
Yeah, there was no social media. It was in the end of 2003, 4, 5. So I had my little pictures, my little booklet. And then I was going to first to the bungalows, to the campement, you know, in Black River and Tamarin. Even my parents, they were renting to the tourists the bungalow, my uncles, aunt, and things like that. So I was just going there to start with and proposing my tours. And as well, I approached some tour operators and they were very, very genuine towards me, you know, like even Motoko, with whom we are working now 20 years, which is probably the biggest tour operator we work with, Yanature. But they were there from the beginning. Solis as well, Summertimes, White Sand Tours, yeah, which is not here anymore, but from the beginning, yes. Moritour, you know, all of those connections, Concorde, all of those ones. And yes, I guess they could feel the passion. They could see that, you know, I was not going to disappear after 6 months, because for those tour operators, it's very important. For them, once you start, you know, they start to promote your tours. Maybe they write you in their books. They propose it to their tourists already overseas. They must make sure that you're still going to be here in the following 6 months.
Exactly.
And then the social media came and website, you know, what is it? Instagram, Facebook, and TripAdvisor.
It's like for me now, it's TikTok. And, I'm like,
yes. So
I'm trying.
And it helps, but for us, we work with all the possibilities and all the venues, you know, everything. And even now with tour operators online as well, they are very, very effective.
So going back to the trails. So you had your first trail, and then you said you had few friends with, right?
Yeah. And then we organized a few like that. And at first it was fundraising. And remember, I don't know if you remember, but in 2006 there was a big tsunami. And we did that as well, organize an event, send funds over there. And then some people were approaching me.
It was here?
No, it was in
Thailand.
In Thailand. But we organized an event there to send the funds, and some people who needed extra money, to have an operation and all that. So I organized quite a few events like that, fundraising. And then eventually I say, okay, I have a living. I've got to make sure, Yanature is not just organizing fundraising for things like that.
Because it's a lot of time and everything.
A lot of time, and my wife gave birth to Iuliia and then Leo, so I had to make sure the company was running as well, to feed us. So and then I started to organize quite a few trail runs, Yanature. And in 2010, we established an association with two other friends, Run the Trail and Nature, and a league, trail running league. And we had 6 races at first, but Yanature was organizing 4 of the 6.
Which one?
It was the events. It was in the national park. It was like going up Parakit. There was a vertical trail, the Climbers Trophy. One in Chamarel, another one in the south. So it was very popular. But at the same time, I was still by myself. So I was doing so much, and I couldn't. And eventually, all the events that I was organizing, I say, okay, Run the Trail, we are an association. I was the president first. We have a committee. It would be a lot easier. So Run the Trail took over all the events I was organizing, with Yanature. And a bit later, in 2011, I organized the first edition of the Dodo Trail with a few years with Yannick de Spéville. And we organized that for about 5-6 years, and then IBL bought it from us. And I was like a consultant for 3 years. That was in the contract, in the deal, and now it's finished. I finished my contract. And Yanature still co-organizes 2 events with Run the Trail and Nature, which is the Trail de la Liberté, Up Le Morne, which is amazing, and the Championnat de Trail, the Trail Championship.
It's a hard one, no? It's the new one that you just did.
Yeah, the Trail Championship. It's been going on for about 6-7 years now. But it's quite, it has to, because it's a championship. So it has to be quite technical and quite mean.
I have a story about Dodo Trail. It's so embarrassing. So me and my husband, we are like, running, walking, not, relax, no pressure. And that time we were like very young. And then my sister-in-law, she bought a kids trail for her and her daughter. And her daughter at the time was maybe 8 years old. And the daughter gets sick. And she called me and she said, listen, we have those tickets. Do you guys want? It's a 5-kilometer run. And I said, wow, okay, yeah, why not? So we get ready, all pumped, all excited.
Yes.
First run, 5 kilometer. And then it was starting in Riverland.
Yeah.
You were like guiding.
Leading the way.
But then it was me, Yannick, and bunch of kids.
Yes.
And we were like, what
are we doing
is
here?
this? It was so embarrassing. But then the embarrassment continued because we were trying to run, like dying. Say, wow, what happened? It's like, 1 kilometer pass. And then all these kids,
flat out,
flying.
Yeah.
And they were like, what is this grandparents doing here? It was so embarrassing. And we were like, wow, it was crazy for us because we were not practicing that.
Yes.
And then I think since then we said, okay, we need to go and buy those running shoes. We need to go and start the trails because they smashed us.
Yeah. The fun run and the Dodo Trail is still going very, very well. Even better, it has grown with 4 events as well, like the beginning. So there's a fun run 5K, there's a 10K, 25 and 50. And they are going in 2024, so next year, do a challenge, like a time fastest to go Up Le Morne as well. Ooh. So it's cool. So they are doing that.
The nice thing about it, and part of why I want to do that today, that it's so accessible to everyone. And you could actually see, we did a Fernie Trail one time, and you can see people in flip-flops. I mean, it's not recommended, obviously, but everyone is welcome.
Yeah.
It's not crazy expensive. You don't really need to have all the equipments, you know, all the Solomon and all the da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
It's better if you can.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing for yourself. It's amazing to push yourself, to discover your new ways, you know, inside of your body that you kind of, you know, you can compete if you want to. But then in the end, you kind of proving to yourself that, you know what, wow, I did so good today.
Yeah.
Plus, you are enjoying incredible nature around
Sceneries, yes.
In Mauritius, it's just a paradise.
Yeah. Yeah, and the trail run has been had made it possible for a lot of people to change their lifestyle and, you know, maybe lose a bit of weight and to feel the benefits of being out in the nature. A lot of people, you know, have stressful job and they spend a lot of time in the bus or the car and at the office and very stressful, very noisy maybe. So once you get into the nature, whether it's a national park, the Black River Gorge, or one of those beautiful private properties like you were talking about, Fernie. There's so many, Bellhomme, there's a lot of different chassis where those trail runs are organized, and to feel actually the benefits of being out there, like we were talking early on, you know, the trees and the rivers and the mountains, the tracks, the path, the animals, and just getting out there. Yeah, just getting out there, putting your shoes and, you know, and getting gradually into the fitness and seeing the changes happening in your body, and you think, wow, you know, this is amazing, you know, like my legs carry me and my pulse is not so high anymore, my cardio is getting better, improving, I feel better, I sleep better, I feel better, I'm more efficient in my job, and and then that's personal, and then you get to meet people, make new friends. Sometimes you can experiment that as a couple, as a family, or just making new friends and going out there and making a rendezvous, meeting up. And then, you know, you have a trail running calendar now, which is so well organized, you know, with more than 20 races, more than that during the year. So you can, you know, choose the races you do and see the distance which suits you. And now you have like the famous run in Réunion Island, you know, La Diagonale des Fous, where you have like at least 3 or 4 distance, and at least 50, 60 Mauritians, you know, go out there, I mean, to Réunion every year, and some even go and compete in South Africa. Rodrigues has got his famous trail as well. A lot of people go there. So trail running is amazing because, as you were mentioning, which is very right, you don't need like such a huge budget. You know, you can just, to start, you know, have a normal pair of shoes, and all those shops now, they do like promotions as well sometimes. You just have to give, you know, they gave like, you know, 20, 30% discount sometimes. You have one shoe, it's fine, right? It will last you maybe 8 months, you know, or a year. If you don't do it so much.
My first hiking shoes last me for 7 years.
Yeah, so you have this, and then you keep your water, and you go out, and you just, you know, you don't need like a fancy anything, you know, it's really, really accessible.
You know, as well, we're talking about the trail, which is most of the people will think, oh no, running, I hate running, I can't. Me personally, I walk. I don't like running unless I can push myself. But I can tell you how much it's impacting my mental state. So in Ukraine, where I'm from, when the war started, this is the only thing that saved me. I was going for a walk every single day, and from all this nightmare that you see and experience, you just go there and you see, no matter what happened in the world, the trees will be there, the river will be there, the mountains, the butterflies. In the beginning, it's very, very hard, but then you just, you know, it's like a fresh air. And I found myself even missing that time because you are so low that you are just need to, you know, one step at a day, go up and up and up, and if this is something, you know, anyone experience, I just recommend to go in the nature.
Yeah.
It's incredible without your phone.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why people feel the need, you know, to do it in a regular way, and whether it's running or walking, it's the same benefit. Sometimes, you know, in the trail runs anyway, you'll be walking as well, you know, because it's steep and yeah, just being out there, and it will build up your confidence. It will definitely, you'll release those hormones that will make you feel good. You will reshape your body. You will feel a lot, you know, more dynamic, and the stress just don't have that much power on you anymore. You know, like, and you become a more enjoyable person even for your environment, because you are peaceful. You are peaceful with yourself, so people can feel the benefits that, you know, it's happening with you, and that spreads, you know, and the chance is you don't have to go very far. It's not like you have to drive, you know, for like days, you know, to reach a place like that. It's next door. Everybody, wherever you are in Mauritius, you know, there's a mountain.
So let's try to name, let's say, if you live in the north, in the center, where would you go, let's say? Because people watch from different parts of Mauritius. A lot of
people would go, you know, on Le Mountain, people staying, you know, in the area, whether from Mocha, Saint-Pierre, near Bagatelle, you know, you have even, you know, Le Pouce, the Crève-Cœur, the Peterbotte, le Corps de Garde, Bodyguard, you know, people, it's just next door, Quatre-Bonnes, Rosil, Beaubassin, it's very close to le Corps de Garde. You got the free mammals, you know, not far from Floréal, Queupip, you have the Trocef. People staying in the west, you have the national park with Black River Gorge, or accessible from Petron, from Queupip, it's 15, 20 minutes drive, you reach that. You have Le Morne, which is open to the public now, you know, there's a lot. In the south, you can do a coastal hike, you know, along the cliffs. Everywhere you can go, you know, like even the north, although there's not much mountains, but you can access Le Pouce from Port-Louis by Le Doguet. Or La Nicolière, all of that is in the north. Brado, you know, in the northeast, near Rochenois and Poste-Lafayette. So everywhere there's nature in Mauritius. It's just, you know, to go out. Maybe people don't want to go by themselves at first, but they can go with a family, with their children, or with a friend. And then they'll do their little course, and they'll be feeling, you know, very familiar to go and try it, and they'll feel the benefits of it.
So on 15 years of anniversary for Yanature, tell us, what did you do?
You know, Iuliia, but I like...
People will go and celebrate.
Yeah,
What do you do?
But I do that as well. I celebrate. I like to party. I like to go out. I like my drinks. I like to go and dance. I'm actually, you know, very into the nightlife as well. Although I try not to do too much, but normally about once or twice every 2 weeks, I fancy going out and party and dancing. But for the 15th year of Yanature, I say the fact that, you know, I'm very much into the trail run and all that, and Le Morne is so special to me. You were saying like 3,000, actually I've been more than 4,000 times hiking hikes there for the last 20 years. I think it's more than 4,000 hikes. So I decided to go up and down Le Morne 15 times in a row. And so that's a bit more than 90 kilometers, 7,000 meters of positive incline and negative incline.
90 kilometers total.
Yeah, so it's 6Ks in total. One up and down, it's 6Ks, 3 kilometers up and down, times 15, so it's 90. So it took me a bit more than 20 hours, but I did it trail running, you know, like not hiking, because it'll take me so much more. So I average plus minus 1.5 hours for each of them.
And I saw the video that your son was with you.
Yes, that's another, yeah, sometimes, yes, because I did another video with Leo, you know, as well, just before we reopened, you know, after the COVID, after the lockdown. I did a special movie, him and me on the mountain. But for the 15th ups and downs, yes, I was always had people with me, and Leo was 4 years younger. He's 17 now, so he was 4 years younger. but he did a couple. I think he did 3 or 4.
Which
he's fit.
Usually after the first one, I'm like once a year.
Yeah.
It's more than enough for me.
Yes, but you know, this is with the training. You know, when you train, when you do regularly, I still try to run 4 or 5 times a week. You know, I'm not so much focused on the time or the performance, but just I feel. Even yesterday afternoon, like I had all the section in the beach, you know, from La Proneuse, the Martello Tower, all the way to Tamarin Bay, and I came back through the road. So I do the mix of the beach and on the road. Yeah, it's lovely.
And you do it every day?
About 4 or 5 times a week, you know. So I still run quite a lot. But I feel so much great like that, you know. And as I said, you know, the fact that I go out, so when I go out, I enjoy my drinks, you know, I'll be drinking beer, and if I don't drink, I'll start, you know, having like feeling heavy and not feeling good, not feeling fit. So the running actually helps a lot. And I love eating. You know, I fancy my fat breakfast every morning, lots of cheese, eggs, olive oil, bread. I mean, I feed myself quite a lot of food, you know, and I'm not like a vegan, just fruits or veggies. I go for the fat stuff and the meat and all that, so I need the protein. So I guess that goes together with activities, whether it's kayaking, hiking, or running, or dancing.
Another cardio. And we were speaking about that, you know, when you were doing so much trail, then you did, like, you were so much involved that at some point you had so much pressure on you to perform.
Yeah, actually, you know, that's the other side of the thing, you know, like endurance is very beneficial for the health, you know. It will probably your blood pressure go down, your pulse will go down. If you have cholesterol, it will probably regulate. Endurance training is something you can do, you know, until you're late, you know, because you don't like accelerate, violent, pushing, like not like squash, you know. It's more smooth. But endurance, if you do more and more and more, you release more and more hormones, endorphin, and you know, like you feel a bit on a high when you run. It becomes more and more in a flow, and eventually you start to perform more. Your results in the competition, you're improving more and more. So you want to train more. You fix yourself some new objectives, and then you do more and more like competition, and eventually you say, okay, I'm used to do like 25, 30 Ks. Why not trying, you know, a 50 or a 75 or 100 K or 100 miles? You know, you get into those crazy runs like running around Mauritius, you know, which is 215 Ks, you know. So you put a lot of load of training, but the body adapts because you feed with the right food, and it's just like the transformation happens. But somehow, beyond 20, 25 hours of training per week, or, you know, in that range, you can become completely dependent with that running, with that competition. And there is such a thing which is called bigorexia. Yes, you know, when you are into those events, running, competition, and you're training more and more and more, and you reach probably about 20, 25 hours or more of training a week, something can happen within your mind and your body, and you become completely dependent of that. And this is like a psychological dependence, but as well physiological, you know, and you release so much hormones that you want. If you don't have your quota of sports, endurance and training and that, you are like lacking, you know. It's almost like you are missing out, and you are missing on that. You don't have your dosage, and in other words, it can take your freedom, you know, where you can't really, it becomes the most important thing in your life, before your health, before your family, before your job, before everything. And I guess, you know, I was a bit involved in that and a bit victim of bigorexia at a certain time in my life. And it's not easy because through that, you develop your image, and somehow you relate to that, and you are always, aiming, the podium, and you want to reach excellence, so you have to train hard. You're not going to go on the start line, if you're not like super well and super fit and super well prepared, and you're always well prepared, and you're all doing all those events regularly, and somehow you can lose a little bit the beauty of this sport, and even you are so focused on you, so focused on the performance, that you can somehow miss out on the other beauty and the benefits of the trails. And for me, it was important at a certain moment, just to take some distance and not always compete, in each and every event. But it was not easy at first, because, well, when you train not so hard, you don't perform so well. You lose your capacity, and you're not on the same level anymore. But I guess to me it was the best choice, and for the price of freedom. And today, or after all those years, I don't want to be driven by something. I want always to be free, and free to compete or free not to compete, free to decide, whether I'm going to do this event or not, or even if I'd chosen to do it and something happens and I don't feel like doing it anymore.
But I guess at the moment you didn't realize that this is what was happening to you.
You don't realize, because you are so much dedicated and you are so much into it, and it's like a big train, aiming and going. You can't stop, or a big boat, tu traces, you're just going for it, and you can't hear or you can't see that maybe, in a couple, well, it's not feeding the couple anymore. It's not doing good to the family, because you're just so much into your thing, and so much into your passion, so much driven by your activity, and maybe, like it creates like a little violence in the family, and somehow, because it's not harmonious anymore, and some people can be feeling left apart in that. And so some couple, they deal with it very well, very, very well, especially if both of them are doing the same activity, or if the wife or the husband, they are totally fine with it, and they are very free, and they manage to spend time together on the side as well. But some situation, or some people like me, it was complicated to find the balance. I was a bit excessive in my practice.
And you think this was the breaking point when you understood that, okay, I need to slow down a bit?
Yeah, but for me, it was learning through the hard way, because eventually my family broke up, like I went through a divorce, and this is one of the reasons for it, because I guess the balance wasn't there, and it was not right anymore. And eventually, you start to learn, the hard way, and you learn to take some distance with your activities, and to relativiser, to say, okay, to reevaluate it. Is it that important, or am I going, you just start to zoom out, to take a distance. And the moment you can do this, the moment you can zoom out and just to see it from a distance, and you say, okay, and you just the moment you do that, it means that you allow some liberty again, you allow some freedom again, you allow some decision, and you allow yourself to decide, and you're not completely become like a slave, like where the moment you can re-choose your freedom, it's a good sign. And for me, it was very important to refine, to remodel, to reshape, to refine like a balance. And today, as I was telling you, I still run regularly, but the distance are less, and I'm not driven by that. A friend or anybody or anything, would tell me, Jan, please do this, or my mother, you know, would need me, maybe she needs me for a special thing, you know, because she's old. No problem, you know, I will let the run, I won't do it, you know.
But before it was not the case.
I wasn't free. Before, no. It had to. There's no way. Everything else will come on the second position. As I was telling you, even my health. The body gives you signs, you know. Sometimes it will give you signs where he's crying for rest. Because he needs it, you know. It's just being too much. You won't hear it. And eventually, this is when you hear, like, some people have got, like, fracture fatigue, or they'll have, like, tendinite, you know, which is inflammation, and, like, or the muscle somehow, you know, will pull itself and stuff like that. So it's just the body at a certain moment will make you stop, you know, just so that you hear it and you listen. But the mind can be very, very stubborn. Human being, we can be very, very stubborn, and we are so much into it that sometimes we don't really feel the pain. The pain is just, you know, because when you do ultra trail, you're used to pain. The muscle will be sore and this and that. You're gone for hours, you know, days. So you learn even to deal with the pain. The pain don't have the power on you anymore. And through the process of your mind, you identify the pain and you manage to dissociate it and to put it in a little box so that it doesn't have so much power, and you are focused in what you do in your race and that, and the pain, you won't even let him, you know, you won't be driven by pain. So we are used to that.
You know, some people, I just had a great conversation with one lady, and she used to do a competitive sprint running.
Yeah.
And she said it was so much, and she was competing on, like, you know, world championships. And she said she gets so disgusted by that as she stopped, she never did sport ever in her life. But
Yeah,
it's a good thing that, you know, you not say, wow, I can't, you know, I cannot do this ever. You still keep moving, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you stop it in the right time.
Yeah, you see, for me, I think I'll do the sport activities to the end, you know. I will adapt my sport. Maybe at a certain moment, I'm turning 55 now, so maybe running won't be able, you know, in another decade, or I don't know, 15 years from now, maybe I'll have some issues, I don't know, with my knees or back, I don't know. Now I'm still totally 100% fine. I guess I got good genes, but the day I won't be able to run, I'll walk, or I'll do more kayak, or swim, or do activities, you know, I will adapt. The thing where I realized that I didn't feel the same drive as before is competition, you know. I don't feel like I need and I want to compete like I used to. And so now on my runs, I never run with a watch. I don't have the time, I don't have the speed, I don't have anything. It's just a matter of, like, being connected to myself, to how I feel. And if I want to stop to have a swim, if I'm running on the beach, I do that. If I want, you know, if I meet someone that I know I can stop, no issue, I will talk to him or
before
to her. No, before I was in my session, you know, today intervals training, tack, you know, you have to do it and do it in that time.
You want to talk to me? Bye.
No, but I won't even see you.
Oh my God.
You know,
oh,
like,
wow, you were like...
Yeah, so concentrated, dedicated, because it's me. You know, it's how you feel. It's you want to do well your session, so you're focused in what you do. You don't have time for anything else. To socialize, that's not the moment for it. When your training session, you're dedicated and you'll do it to your best, you know. And you want to do your best because you know why you're doing it. And you've got a clear goal, objective, and you know that you have to put the effort and put the work and put the hours. So now I don't care. But I love doing it. I love going at La Tourelle, or to go in the gorge, or to go up in a mountain, or, as I say, even on the road, on the beach, or wherever. I run on any surface is good with me. But I'm not driven by competition. I'm not driven by the performance. I'm not driven by the chrono. I'm just driven by being out there and enjoying it and enjoying the benefit, you know.
So what I understood by, but what you were telling, that, you know, you were so into the competing, into the thing, and then, you know, certain events happen in your life and you change things, and that's where your partners came in the picture, right?
The partners
That's where
came
you
in
started to
in Yanature. Yes, they came in when I realized that I couldn't do things anymore by myself.
So lots of things happened for you.
Yeah, and they came at the right time, you know, one and then the other. And it's amazing today, you know, that we are a team, you know, like it's good to have like other directors, you know, you can rely on each other. We have our meeting, and then the company can grow, you know, and it's like good foundations. I mean, Henri, it's been almost 10 years. Huh? Next year will be 10 years. Nico will be 9 years. So it's next year 9 years. He joined us in 2015. And it's good mind, you know, good people, good mind, clever, and then same. And now time has gone by, so we're used to each other. We know each other well, and I guess, you know, we've been smooth in our development. You know, we haven't done like from one day to the other, you know, like just doing everything and being everywhere. No, the fact that we are very, it's gradual. And when you develop things like that gradually, it's good foundations. Otherwise, you go too quickly, you know, like everything crashed down at any little challenge. But when you have the foundation which is solid, which is firm, and this got to do with time, you know, and I guess this is what I've been doing, because Yanature, as I said, it's 20 years this year. So,
wow.
And I still got the same, for me, passion. That's why I'm still, you know, leading and guiding. Like.
So what about 20 times Up Le Morne Mountain?
I've got the solution for that. You know what's the solution?
What is the solution?
We'll do it as a relay.
What does that mean?
So everybody will do one or two. I don't have to do it all by myself.
Okay. Now you a team
I've got
spirit.
to adjust. I've got to adapt and adjust.
But I'm sure you can do it.
Nah, I don't know. Well, 15 is already a lot, huh? Maybe somewhere else. Doesn't have to be Le Morne.
What would be your recovery after 15 times Up Le Morne Mountain? What do you do?
When I did that, crazy enough, a week later, I did another challenge. Which was running from Port Louis to Le Morne via the mountains and all that. So it was a bit crazy, but somehow I wanted to do two very close to each other. And that other one, Leo, my son, fancy running. He was like 4 years younger than now. He did quite a lot. And we had a nice little video, which is a nice souvenir. So we started at Le Codan, and we finished here at Tombafilao, which is just near this hotel. Yeah.
And your kids, are they into sport?
Leo, very much. He's going to Dubai to play rugby today. Elisa, she's 19, lovely girl, beautiful. She's a beautiful soul. And sports doesn't cover a whole universe. But at a pace, you know, a bit of yoga, a little bit of running at pace, hiking. She's just been in India. And she did some, not by herself, but she did some paragliding. She loved it. And she was into the mountainous region of India near Ladakh, you know, not far from the Himalayan mountains. And she hiked, she's feeling so well and all that. She came back here. We had supper last night together. And she said, Dad, it's amazing. My run is so much easier. I said, yes, because you were like spending 2 weeks in above 2,000 meters. So you have lots of blood cells. So now, you know, your body is super oxygenated, and running is a lot easier. So, and she said, yes, I'm fancy. So now she wants to run like 20, 30 minutes every day or every second day. And that's cool. And Leo is very much into rugby and running as well, any sports. So I guess they feel the benefits, you know, of
So they
being
were
healthy.
not like, you know, discussed maybe, because seeing you going so crazy, running, so much pressure on them.
They were still young. They were still young.
Okay.
They were still young when I was doing my crazy runs. You know, it was the time that I ran the most. I think it was from say 2010 to 2014, 2015. You know, this is when I did the most. You know, doing the runs in Reunion Island, La Diagonale des Fous, the run around Mauritius, like other crazy challenges. So they were still quite young, and yeah. So I guess they were used to see me doing my things, you know, and they enjoy, you know, coming to support and give me the encouragement that, you know, was good to receive. Yeah.
So trails, hiking, and now is the new thing, kayaking.
Yes, so kayaking is something that I used to enjoy already back in the old days. Because when I was studying in South Africa, I was in a town not close by the sea, near the river, in a place called Pietermaritzburg. And there's a river called the Duzy, and there's this kayaking event there. And the first time I really got into that was in that river, in those thin kayak, and I was kayaking with Linda, my girlfriend's brother, you know, and having a good time. And when I came back to Mauritius, just after the tour around Europe, I decided to take with me one of those surf ski. And I was, you know, staying in Black River, going to Le Morne and Tamarin and all that on the surf ski, and I used to enjoy the kayaking. So after all those years with Yanature and hiking, I said, it could be cool, you know, why don't we propose some kayaking? So I knew the Tamarin River and all that. So I told my colleague, you know, come and with me and with Nico, come experiment, and we're going to paddle on the river. You will see what you feel and all that. And then we say, wow, why not going to see the dolphins as well? It could be a plan, you know. Instead of going in the boat, we'll propose that in the kayak. So now it's been like almost 15 months that we have our 4 kayaking tours every day. So we do a sunrise early morning that I love. To
this
see
is where
dawn.
you see the dolphins?
No, not yet.
Oh, no.
Sunrise is a trip on its own.
Okay.
It's a trip on its own on the river where you welcome the birth of a new day. Okay, so dawn. And then you see the sun afterwards. So that's on the river, it's amazing. Now we do it at 4:45. The day starts so early. Then we have the tour I did this morning at 6:30, where we go in the bay and we go and meet the dolphins. Most of the mornings, dolphins come in the bay, Tamarin Bay. And experimenting that on the kayak, it's a respectful approach, where we're not motorized, it's very, and you can hear the dolphins comes towards you, you go towards them, so it's an interaction like that. And then I show them the river as well, and then we have a tour in the middle of the day on the river, very easy, very safe, for people who have never kayaked in their life, you know, they can do that. And then we have the final one, which is the fourth tour, which is for the sunset. On the river, and when we come back, the sun goes down on the west coast, so we have a beautiful sunset, you know that. And to experiment that, first it's in 2 parts, the sun goes down beyond the horizon, and then you have the colors reflecting on the river, and it's a very peaceful moment with yourself, and it's like you welcome dusks, okay? We finish, it's almost dark, you see the lights lighting up, and we finish the tour, and the guests, you know, just love it because it's a very peaceful tour. So that's our tours in Tamarin with a kayak, and now we are starting, you know, to export it in other part of the island as well. It's not yet confirmed, so I can't really talk about those places yet, but there will be other places where we'll propose the tours, kayaking tour.
So it's you who does it, or
all my colleagues,
okay.
all my team people, you know, like all the guides, they've been trained, you know, like to do both the hiking and the kayaking. Everybody that works in Yanature are polyvalent, so they are very comfortable, you know, whether on the kayak or the hikes.
I always see at least one guide in Lagos, you know, taking the group.
Yes. Yeah, we have a tour there every day, every morning.
And I was like, are you training for trail? I'm like, no, I'm just walking,
Yeah.
just my backyard.
Yeah, me time. It's your me time, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what are the, I don't know, plans for you?
In the future?
Yes.
Well, we haven't talked about holidays, traveling, you know, like I like to travel. So, but the type of holidays, vacation travel, it's like road trips. I normally go with my brother and 2 other friends, you know, that we meet in London, and then we go to destinations. So we had the privilege to do like Chile, we did Namibia in Africa, we did Iceland last year. Now in January I'm going to Costa Rica. In June I'm doing the Lofton Islands, which is near northeast of Norway. So it's a great privilege because my brother works on British Airways, so I can have like some cheap airline tickets, and I'm trying to have like one holiday or sometimes twice a year. I did the Canary Islands as well this year. It was amazing. And road trips, like, you know, we rent a car we stay somewhere and then we hike, we do the kayaking, and we just visit the nice places. And normally we will choose like countries where there's nature, animals, rivers, waterfalls, volcanoes, the outdoors. You know, this
but
is
it's
the
cool
type.
to find your tribe, you know? Not sometimes you can be friends, but then in the traveling it's...
We've tasted each other.
Okay.
It's fine. We've been traveling since 2018, 4 of us. So 2 girls and 2 guys, and it works very well. And so this is a nice thing that I appreciate. It's nice to discover the beauty of the world like that, and so it's that. Yeah, most certainly, you know, maybe I'll fix a little challenge to come in 2024, maybe in the sea. And this time, and we'll see if there's, you know, what will be the possibilities. Because my last challenge I did was this year, where I did like 3 marathons in Chamarel in 5 days. You know, like a marathon, 42 kilometers up and down the steep road of Chamarel on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So this was the last challenge. So I feel like maybe it will be the one next year. It's always nice to maybe to do one every year or every second or third year to prepare something like that, and maybe it will be on the sea in a kayak. Why not?
Challenge in a kayak.
It can be quite nice.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. You know what happened.
So now you supporting your kids. They make you proud.
Yes. Family is important. We spend good quality time together, and quite close to my mom, which is getting old as well. She's just been operated, you know, with a back, so we needed to organize that with my sister and myself. And she was in Welkin in the clinic very soon. This week she just came back to an apartment, so been helping her a little bit, and training the guys, the people who works with us, and for me it's a real pleasure, you know, after almost 20 years to see that Yanature, which was relying only on me for all those first 10, 11 years, now that it's well structured, but it can provide a job to like 10 people and 10 families, that they love what they do, they have lovely reviews on TripAdvisor, the guests love them as well. And that contribute to their happiness and stability, to rebalance their life, and so yeah, I'm very very pleased that that's the direction it has taken. And as you were mentioning early on, for some people it's very challenging. You know, once they start a company, they are by themselves. They can't, you know, open to other people. But to me, it was the best decision I made, to trust, you know, and to accept to open and welcome other people. And today, you know, like the company doesn't rely only on one person. You know, it's a lot more solid and a lot more powerful like that. And we can host so much more tourists and so more guests and propose so many more tours. And
it's amazing,
and I'm very
the
happy.
continuous.
I'm very happy to have been like a bit of a pioneer, you know, in the hiking and the trail running in Mauritius, and to still, you know, have this visibility and to carry on. And still, a lot of people approach me to try, you know, to have some advice, training advice, and this or that. And yeah, I will share everything with always a lot of passion and a lot of love, you know, like. It has happened that some people approach me because they wanted to do that run as well around Mauritius, and you know, it's like a specific training program, and I will share with them with so much pleasure. I don't, you know, hold for myself anything. You know, the more I can share, the more I can, you know, partager the know-how and the experience with people, and get them, you know, to make their own experience. Or get them even to establish their company, to become an entrepreneur. It's, people have to believe in themselves, you know. And the only mistake is not to try, you know, because at least you would have tried, you know. If it doesn't open, if it doesn't work out, but at least you would have tried. And a lot of people are still driven by fear, you know, and fear can be like this handbrake. And but when you trust yourself and you experiment life, and you realize that life is actually good, you know, life is not your enemy. Life is we're part of it, and life is good. Life wants the best for each and everyone, you know, and you can, you know, if it doesn't work out today, it doesn't mean that tomorrow won't be a good day for you.
Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah, and it will be great. It will be great. It's like going up the mountain, you know. Some people, maybe it can happen today, they won't make to the top, you know, go to the cross because, you know, it's a bit too challenging, but it doesn't mean that, you know, they won't make it the following day or whenever they'll come.
You know, in Ukraine, we're saying if you want to test a person, take them hiking or camping.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to check if the guy is good, you take camping. You will see who will run from the wolf, you know.
Yes, so true.
And and thank you so much for your time.
It was a real pleasure, Iuliia.
And to give this sparkle in my life for hiking. And now every time I have friends from overseas, I make sure to take them to Black River, and I say, oh, look at this place, look at this place. And they're all crying while going up.
Yes.
But then the reward is waiting for them.
Yes, and then you can even take them for a little swim, you know, in the Black River Gorge. It's one of the only river in Mauritius which is super clean, and especially in those days, you know, the rain, it's so clean, so fresh, so clear, and it's a pure pleasure. So that's very good news that you fancy that.
Thank you so much, and for your time. I know it's very precious. And you are in my Mauritian book now.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege, and most success for all your coming interviews and for whatever you're doing and the good visibility you're giving. And I'm wishing you the very best as well.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
And guys, please subscribe and like and comment our interview with this legend, Mr. Yan De Maroussem. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you.
Really a pleasure.
Thank you for hosting me.
Merci.
Plaisir.
Guys, you were supposed to clap too. Merci.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you, guys.